Well, despite the current global lockdown, the next expedition to the space station has launched. Dr. Brad Tucker and I dive into this Talking Science Story of the Week.
Across Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts and YouTube, this is Talking Science with Dr. Brad Tucker and Matt Miller.
Alrighty, Brad, let's kick into the stories of the week. And first up is the expedition heading up to the space station. It is, of course, Expedition 63 as the International Space Station continues to orbit and continues to do science despite everything going on in the world.
They were ready for launch. They were in their quarantine. They were ready to go. It still keeps going. They can't really just mothball the space station. So 2 cosmonauts and an American NASA astronaut went up Thursday evening, Australia time, Thursday morning, U.S. Or Kazakhstan, rather. And they'll be up there for quite a while, and it's definitely a change into some of the things that they had to do for this launch as compared to what they normally have to do.
It is interesting to think that launches are still going ahead, and we're putting astronauts and cosmonauts into orbit on a hermetically sealed space station, which is what it really is. But it's not that surprising, given that astronauts before launch are put into quarantine anyway ahead of time, so that they don't take any of the usual nasty stuff that can really knock a person around.
That's right. Yeah, you don't want to take a cold or flu or, as I say, gastro, God forbid, or something like that. It would be literally a nightmare. And so they have to do quarantine already. So that didn't change that. What it really did change was the restrictions on travel and social distancing meant families couldn't go to the launch. They were limited crew and staff to support it. So it was definitely probably one of the least viewed, loneliest human spaceflight launches that we've had, to be honest, since humans started to go up. Because even in the early days, with people like Yuri Gagarin, there's still a lot of people to watch it because they didn't know what was going on. Here, there was very few people around.
It is incredible to think, and a lot of the things that we don't sort of think about until things have to change drastically, and to have a minimal staff on site to ensure the safety of the rocket, but nothing else, really makes you sort of think what actually is necessary. Are all the people in mission control absolutely critical to getting that getting that rocket into launch?
That's right.
I guess it's backups and backups.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. And what has to be there in case something goes wrong? What can do it remotely? All those little questions. So you have to weigh the risks, and evaluate kind of that decision-making process to make sure you obviously do the right things. So it's always an interesting, I think, choice that you have to go through. And it was very different. And I think for the astronauts themselves, not having their family there, which is always quite important, was probably one of the biggest things. They're not going to be around them for months. And so it's usually, kind of a nice farewell they get to see, which they didn't get to have this time.
It's taking the idea of social distancing to the extreme, really, isn't it? An orbital extreme.
Look, that's right. I mean, that no one can accuse them of gathering into large groups unnecessarily. I would say that is a very fair statement at this point.
And an interesting thing in reverse, obviously, there's the current crew of the ISS will be returning in the next couple of weeks. Next week, I think it is. And they're going to be facing, as they always do, they'll be facing a quarantine as well. But this time around, it really is to prevent things from getting to them.
That's right. We in the past, the Apollo missions, they were quarantined for 3 weeks, worried they're going to take moon bugs back, moon something. Now they have to be quarantined, as you said, for their own safety and health. And also, you have to worry about the normal medical problems that they may encounter that they have to be studied, and how you get around that, and how you get around studying it. So they will have a very different experience and return to a world very differently than the one they left.
Our last point here on this story is coincidentally probably the last time the US is going to be hitching a ride with the Russians, with Crew Dragon expected to be the next launch vehicle.
If it all goes according to plan, they will go in that May-ish window. But as of now, the next astronauts are training to go on Crew Dragon and then eventually Boeing. So it does look like NASA will not use anytime soon the Soyuz capsule for humans, which is a big change. Again, it's a big step in how it has evolved from not using the Russians in the space shuttle to only using the Russians now to going back to the private. So it's definitely another milestone in all this, all happening the next month.
And it almost marks about 10 years of using the Soyuz capsule to get into orbit.
Yeah, that's right. It's pretty close to that anniversary as well. We're definitely at the 9 years. So, a lot of things happening, and space isn't stopped.
On the next Trekzone podcast, we're going in depth on Trump's executive order paving the way for space mining. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe to Trekzone across social media. Just search for Trekzone and smash that button. On YouTube, ring the bell to get notifications, and give us a like and leave a comment.